two part, extremely it's not connected each other, but we can make it connect, right? So hope you all are from research background, right? All, yeah. Maybe the domain may be different, but we all are researchers, okay, fine. So that should be in the first consideration. So whatever topics I am considering or whatever theme I am talking, you think about your problem, your domain and your objectives, how to solve it, okay. And I cannot be expert in all the domains, but whatever I know from the past experience I can share. So the first session of our part will be regarding, yeah, this is the fourth day, right, but the section was planned for the second day, that is sampling design and different kinds of methodologies and different types of designing, how to make the sampling more easy way and how to do your research in a qualitative way, okay. So I think last 2 to 3 days you heard about a lot of things regarding sampling, understanding how to find the problem statement, how to consider which methodology should be considered for your study. You heard a lot of things last 2 days, right? It was very like, how do you feel that last 2 to 3 days? Is it something you can connect with your research? Is it? Yeah. Then let me know the final, the last, like maybe the last 10-15 minutes we can discuss about your problem, how we can help you in framing the methodology, or how you can resolve some kind of a problem where you are stuck, okay. So the first part will be more into sampling design, little bit theoretical part, but you have to understand how to do these kind of sampling technology to go further with the methodology part, okay, fine. So the major content of the first session will be understanding what is sample survey and data collection. You may already heard like how to like primary data collection, secondary data collection and little bit of data collection part. Then how to design your sampling methodology and what are the errors you can find while doing this kind of sampling, and how to resolve these kind of errors, minimize your error. Because why we are doing this kind of research, if you are doing with a very bad quality data and you are inferring some information out of it and it is not in we are not able to take any decision, the entire research goes waste, right? Instead of that, from the first stage itself you should be very crystal clear that your data is very accurate, or even you could not avoid some kind of errors, how to minimize it, okay, how to minimize your errors to go further with the methodology or analysis and the conclusion part. Then how the sensor survey is different from sample survey, then designing, okay. Little bit of introduction and just consider it as a recap of last 2 to 3 days, okay. So don't talk about any specific studies, talk about your problem, talk about the problem what you are handling at this moment. So any kind of studies, why we are doing this kind of research? Now you just think about your problem, okay. So why you are doing, you want to identify some problem, right? You want to resolve from your perspective and based on your knowledge, based on your experience, and you want to infer something, right? You have to collect data first. So that is the first part. No, it's not the collection of data is the first. What is the first part of any kind of research? Identifying the problem is the first task, in which nature you are going to resolve some problem. We cannot resolve all the problem in that domain, at least one part of it, right? Some chunks of problems you need to resolve it. For that, identifying the problem is the first step. Any kind of a definition of a statistical study is to collect data that can be used to make some information, and that information is useful to take some kind of a useful decision making, okay. It can be goes to policy making, you can connect to government that this is happening in this field. So you have to publish your results to inform what are the decision you can make it based on those informations, okay. So Okay, so the ability to make a good decision is completely depend upon the quality of data you are taking it. You all are agree with that, right? The quality of data, what you are handling with it. Then it's a very important domain is that understanding how to collect the data in a qualitative way and how to make information or how to derive information out of it. Then conclusion of any kind of this is that depending on how the data, conclusion of your research or how conclusion your work is completely depends upon the quality of data you collected. So, okay. So, this is the framework of any kind of statistical studies and data analysis part. The data analysis process can be viewed as a sequence of steps. Okay. Everyone will follow the same thing, same process, some more other things you have to. The first stage will be understanding the nature of problem. The step will be understanding the nature of problem. In my case, I am working more into urbanization challenges. So, even urbanization challenges, we can find out a lot of things, right? In Bangalore, what is the biggest problem? Traffic. Somebody was saying. Oh. Garbage. Clear. Then? Traffic, waste management, environmental problem, what else? We can talk about a lot of things in this urbanization challenge, right? But I cannot be expert or I cannot resolve all the problem. Urbanization is a domain out of which what I am going to resolve. I am from civil background, then identifying the problem which is related, which kind of problem I can resolve it. So, my more interest is transportation. I can work on different problem, but my interest was more into urban mobility and transportation problems in Bangalore. Those who are from, you all are from Bangalore? No? You all are from, anyone is from Bangalore? Yeah, many are there. So, traffic everywhere you heard, right? So, but how to resolve it? Is it a big problem with the government? No. Is the problem with any kind of a policy makers? No. The main problem may be due to the unplanned city development. A lot of people are coming to Bangalore and the city does not have the capacity to they don't have capable enough space to accommodate everyone. So, that is one problem, right? So, how to resolve it? How to resolve it the perspective of a researcher. So, that was my problem, that I identified this, I can do something in this way. So, based on that you identify which problem you people can resolve it. Okay. So, you all have a one kind of a problem statement in your own field. Can anyone share your own problem with, like I shared, right? This is what I am working on. Can anyone ready to share their problem? You all are in which year? Your first year. First year will be more into courseworks, right? So, right now maybe you are searching for a problem. Is anyone having any problem right now in your hand? Madam, you have it? Can you please explain it? So, we can think about, right, how we can resolve it, how with which methodology we can solve it. So, let it be more interactive. I don't want to be like just talking and listening, and if you are not able to implement anywhere, it's waste of 4 to 5 days, right? Madam, can you please?
My area of research is on wet
Okay.
throughout South Karnataka.
Okay, great. So, how is there any like wet preservation, like what you are going mapping?
No. It is based on how exactly what is the thing that matters for preservation. Okay, what are the factors that affects, what will they correlate, and what effects it can cause with the regulations, and how can it be the regulation for preservation? What is the change in the land cover and land use management? What exactly it has its changes?
See, she has a clear clear objectives. What are the factors is going to affect this kind of problem and how these changes. Some examples she mentioned that land use, land cover, maybe some literature review. You maybe last days you heard about how to find the literatures and which are the topics need to be taken care, right? From the literature, madam identified that land use, land cover can be a problem with her domain, right? So, like that, read a lot of things related to your domain, then identify where is a research gap, then find out which methodology we can use it for further improvement, right? So similar way, so in madam's case that problem statement is done. So in your case, if the problem statement still you are searching for it, please try to do it by reading a lot of literatures. Okay, don't stop in this moment. You should be very crystal clear about what is there in the current. Start with some old papers, okay, old papers like a 20, 10, something like that, to understand what is the history of your domain. Okay, you will understand what is happening still now and what is reason, even if it is not in Indian country or even in Asia, but you should add worldwide what is happening in your domain. That is the major concern. Okay, so the problem statement you all will be get ready with maybe the next workshop you all will have some kind of a problem statement get ready, right? Do anyone want to share their own problem statement at this here? Because this is the way you can interact with your, because I know that madam where she is working. If you people are sharing your things, whenever these kind of information comes, I can share with you people. See, these students are working on this problem. Is something relevant to, this is how the networking can happen while doing these kind of workshops. Okay, okay, fine. Problem statement is ready. Then how to measure it? What are the measurement required to quantify these parameters, and how to, like, first of all, in madam's case, number of indicators, some idea she has it. Okay, so that is that what to measure to do this and how to do this. From where you will get this information? Literatures. Okay, then next is data collection. The literature may be talking about world, but here we are talking about South Karnataka. Is the data available to us? Is it freely available? Do we need to create by ourselves? Okay, these are the questions should comes into your researchers should be always should question by you question yourself. No, is it available? Just search for the answer. Is it freely available? Which part of the Karnataka is that freely available? Just find out if the answers are like if the data is ready. Okay, madam, did you find any data sources? This is what she want. The topic this today's session is completely depends on your project. Okay, so fine. Then maybe in her cases real data she is looking. She is going to the field and collecting the data from the ground. We call it as a ground observation data or field data collection, surveying, which she is looking for. Okay, so once the data is ready, you find out some data sources, you are collecting all the data sets which is relevant for your studies, then get it ready with the data sets. Okay, and find out which is very relevant, which is not, like primary, secondary and kind of data sources you can find out, then summarize it to get a just a broader picture of your study area. In her case, it may be a simple example with land use, land cover. Then she got the data, but she every South Karnataka, madam. So the South Karnataka, the part will be LUSC will be pattern, right? Then if she could summarize some urbanization percentage or some statistical measures of to identify different classes of that study area, so that we will call as statistics will have the entire the how it will looks or how the overall picture of your study area will get it by using statistical measures. Okay, then formal data, and once it is done, then formal data analysis by using a lot of methodology tools and all. Then interpretation of results. Interpretation is nothing but you are just you are giving some information. So interpretation is nothing but the information you are gathering from the data sources. Okay, after analysis. So this you may be heard, mean, variance and all, it's all last 2 days there. So in here the simple, maybe statistic part I am not covering because it's already overlooked problem. No, the domain is already overlooked. Then here the simple one terminology I want to look for a sample. Sample. What is meant by sample? In any, it's not in the research. Okay, sample. You are taking some sample to analyze. Okay, you have a you have a lot of The simple example, right? The bucket of apples, okay? You have a lot of, but you want to identify quality of those apples, okay? You able to have every apple in a bite and tell that this is happening? No. Instead of that, what you will have? You will taste samples out of it, correct? No? So that sample you will taste it and you will mark it. So this is this much quality and this much, okay, tasty or not. Average or a mean of that information you will consider to talk about the entire bucket of, right? So that is, we call it as a total population. Population is not mentioned anything regarding the people or the per person, but here the target, where you, which one you are talking about, like which the samples are representative of some kind of a lot of information, right? So that is called, here the thing is, sample will be always subset of any kind of total populations, okay? Is it clear? Clear, no? So here in statistical way, if you are talking, if the set, just think about the apple, okay? A1, A2, A3, AN number of apples you have, you call it as a population or the target which you are going to work on, that is your construct or something you can call it. Then out of that we are taking a subset, capital letter X, X1, X2, that is some unique apples from that, that is called a sample. So y is equal to t, this t is nothing but a total and that will be the subset of this. And when you do some analysis of these samples, you can represent the entire population also. Clear? Clear, right? This is a simple definition of a sample. So when the distribution or the information about those samples will give you the sampling distribution, and this sampling distribution you can directly relate it to total distribution of your data sets. Clear, right? Then any kind of research we can consider as a two kind of study. It can be observational study or it can be experimental study. Observational, everything is crystal clear from the name itself. Observational study, you are observing something. From this data set you are observing, right? I can share this because I am very sorry to be a lot of text in slides. I don't like actually, but this is very maybe last 2 days I got know that I have to handle this session also, so I could include it, but I will share it right now. Don't worry about the text and slides, but understand the concept here, okay? So it's very clear that in observational study, usually to draw a conclusion about the corresponding populations or about differences between two or more populations, okay? So that means, in the simple example is apple, right? You are taking a sample and you are analyzing it and you are interpreting some information about the entire population. Or so example they have given is, ecologists might be interested in estimating average shell thickness of a bald eagle eggs. So what they will do, they will be taking a samples of that egg or a shell, then they will identify the thickness of it, then they will be telling that the average of the thickness of the entire population of that eagle will be considered within this range. This, okay, this amount to the other, there's some range they will mention. So what is the minimum, maximum and average based on the samples they will be considered. So the drawback of this observational study is that it is impossible to draw a clear cause and effect. In madam's case, when you do observational study, we cannot say that which factor affecting a lot, some impact on this study. In her case itself, she is just going to the field and collecting a lot of different driving factors, or we can call it as a cause or effect factors, right? Like what are the factors or impacting her area of research. So she cannot find out what is the cause and effect within this. So for that she needs some kind of experimental studies, okay? So in that case, experimental study will be how a response variable behave when one or more explanatory variables, also called factors, are manipulated. So in her case, she has to collect the observational data from the field, and she has to do some kind of experiment from the lab, like which factors are causing more effect, and she cannot take a lot of variables because the cause factor or the factors itself can have some kind of a relationship, that we call it as a multicollinearity. You heard about, madam? So these kind of multicollinearity, you have to remove it, or you should identify which is having high impact, which are the factors having high weightage. Consider those factors and build a model. Model can be anything, right? Mathematical model or any kind, that is up to you. I don't want to go further with a methodology part and all, but initially survey part, okay. Simple example is that teacher want to identify if the number of hours in a lab, if it is improving, is the student score will be improve or not. Theoretically we know that, like we will make them to learn 3, 6, 8 hours, obviously the students will get more knowledge and they can perform well, correct, no? But how to scientifically prove it? They need some experiment for that. Few students they will arrange for 6 hours, then other students, that is called sample. They are taking few samples and they are make them to arrange for 6 hours of lectures, and the other students they will make it to 3 hours lecture, and the same question paper they will give to all the students, okay. Then there won't be any kind of a bias to the preparation of question paper. So once that is done, how well the students are performing? Most probably the 6 hours of working, or those students who work with 6 hours, they may perform well, right? So they will experimentally they will prove it. This is how the experimental study will. So in more on experimental study, there was an article in 2005, television's value to kids, it's all in how they use it, okay. So that is published in Times in 2000, 2000, it's an old one, but it is very relevant in case of experimental examples, right. So they want to do for some like the children, they have a age limit younger than 3, okay, age is younger than 3. They cannot do a complete survey on all the children. So instead of that, they are taking 1700 students, not students, children, then analyzing how the short term memory and reading ability varies within them, okay. Then the conclusion is not with the only 1700, the conclusion they will talk about every children, they have the more than 3 or something, that will represent it over total population. You can relate it, no? You can relate it. This more into example. If you want to I think we need a lot of time for the second part. So this is simple example, 1 or 2 I can tell. So yeah, the admission director, they identify that the students, the applicants accepted in 2010 is this much, or okay, this many people has already accepted their applications, but enrollment is not very minimum. So why this is happening? The problem is that why the students are enrolling for these courses. So the director want to know about it. Is it possible to just call every student and ask them what is the problem, why you are not enrolling? Instead of that, they are selecting for randomly, you are just picking few students and calling them and identifying what is the problem, and that will be represented for the entire students, those who are not able to enroll on that same year. Clear? Few other example, I will share those slides. If interested, you just read out. Otherwise, it's simple how this experimental study and observational studies varies. Then in any kind of a statistical studies, we have a 2 kind of statistical study. One is a descriptive. Descriptive means you can use some plots, graphs, some variants, and you can describe your data set in the large way. Then you can derive some information and you can summarize your data and you will get some idea about it, right. So that we call it as a descriptive. Inferential is the so inferential will be something related to sampling. Just we are inferring. Suppose we are interviewing some. Just example, maybe you are handling with some agriculture problem. Okay, so you are interviewing some farmers. then the farmers will be giving some kind of information or a response, okay. So that we will be collecting it. So inferring some information out of it, that is also statistical study, but that is one part of statistics, like another branch of statistical study. Inference, we are just infer. I have one more slide with the inference in survey. So this is that clear? My letters are clear here, okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, here there is a inference and there is another inference here, okay. So here you could see, right, inference and inference. So the here just think about the respondent answer to questions, just like a questionnaire survey. You are preparing some set of questions and interviewer will be going to the field and collecting such information. So this will be, the respondent is nothing but here the farmer, okay. The farmer will be answering to the questions, and that answer from the sheet itself you can infer something, right. So you will be inferring the characteristics of that farmer, okay, got it. So that is one kind of a inference statistics. So you will get some information, characteristics of respondent here. So here answers accurately describe the characteristics of a respondent, okay. If the farmer is giving right informations with a they are not hiding anything and they are ready to share their experience, so that itself is some kind of a characteristics of respondent you will find out from by using this inference. Then these kind of information will go to the statistical computing, okay. So after that also, then this is the characteristics of the sample. Actually from here they are not going to all the farmers. They are collecting only selected farmers. The way of selection will talk about sample design part, but that we will come in the next slides. But this will be the characteristics of a sample. Here the characteristics of the respond you will get it by this inference. After statistical computing you will get the characteristics of that sample, okay. That sample when you infer further, then the entire farmers in Karnataka or maybe India, or I am not sure about the which study they are talking, but here they will be talking the inference about the characteristics of the entire population. Population you talk about the target, which problem you are find out. So this will be characteristics of population. Here the subset of population have characteristics similar to the large populations, okay. So this is the way. So this is the way the problem, the error may happen. When you select a sample from the total population, something should be related to the, we have to relate with the total population. Otherwise we cannot infer anything from here, right. So suppose you want to look for the problems of a farmers who is doing some this tomato, but you are taking interview with some other crop like the farmers who is experienced in some other kind of crop. So this is how you have to relate. The subset of population have a character similar to the large population. The problem should be identified or the sample should be selected based on the target where you are which one you are looking further. Fine. Simple definition of population and sample. The entire set of items we call it as a population. It's clear, right? Clear. Population, it's clear. Then sample is nothing but a small number of items taken from the populations. Then how many number of samples you are taking, that is called a sample size. Okay. When you talk about census surveys, you heard about a lot of things, census surveys, right? Every 10 years, 2011 we got a population statistics and now 2021. So census is talking about the entire populations or the total. Individually they will go and collect the informations, okay. So in sample, it's a subset of census, we call it as a sample here. So sample, population and data. So this is the population in your it's a target which you are talking about. Then you can use any kind of sampling technologies to collect sample. This is a simple example of random sampling. We will see what is random sampling and all. But so any method you can use to collect the sample. Once the samples are collected, what you are taking from the sample? You are collecting data from the sample. by using observational study or experimental study or any kind of studies, then data is collected. Then if you are not having any action, then they are not able to take any action out of this data, then they have to do sampling again. If they could take some action, then the action will be, the information will be representing the total population. Clear? Same thing I am repeating, right. So, now we will go through the sampling. Okay. Yeah, correct, same thing, like a generalize from a sample to the corresponding population. Do I need to repeat it again? No, the first bullet point is clear, right? Yeah. Second is also I have already shared carefully in the sample. Okay. So, here the census will talk about the entire population, sample will look for the subset of census. So, we can just with a simple table we can just compare it to make it clear with what is census and what is sampling. Suppose your work is country level, okay. Is it possible for you to collect the entire people, like the information from the participants going there and collect? No, right? Your research is 3 to 4 years, right? 5 years, maximum 5 years. If you are doing it a full time, it can be 5 years. Within 5 years, time matters a lot when you do some kind of a research, right? So, you cannot do individual survey, questionnaire survey, going to the field and collect the entire thing, okay. But in case of census, a systematic method that collects and records the data about members, the population is called entire. Every member will be identified, like they will be interviewed or they will be taking the data from the entire members, okay, all the members. But in case of a sampling, we all will be doing some kind of a sampling to infer something. Refers the portion of a population, represent the entire group. So, enumeration will be complete, that is complete, like citizen will be considered, this will be partial. So, study each and every unit of the population, only a handful of rules they have a very selected. So, that is why design of sample is very important, because you have to represent it for the entire population. So, this should be the handful of units of the population, and time required is it's a long time consuming job and it's a fast process, it's very expensive, it's economic, and this is all more into theory. Like this census is more appropriate for the heterogeneous nature, okay. So, this is for a homogeneous nature. So, if you have a heterogeneous things to be solved, then you have to take a sample from all the heterogeneous objects or the problems, okay. So, here this is what I was talking. First identify the nature, then identify the objectives what you can resolve it, okay. Choose mode of collection, data collection part, then which sampling method you are going to use it, design and select the sample, and identify the construct is nothing but the which problem or which area you are going to work on. Then you can recruit some people and you can ask them to measure the sample from the field, then you can code it and you can edit the data and analyze it and perform the analysis to get some information out of it. So, what are the problem with the bias sampling? When you do some kind of a sampling, there can be any kind of a bias or errors, okay. So, bias will be some part of the population, like suppose you are excluding something. Suppose in your case of farmers list, you want to do some tomato, like those who are working with the tomato, but they are excluding these kind of farmers, obviously the information what you are getting will be completely wrong. So, that is called a bias out of it. So, you have to identify which topic, like a sampling bias occurs when some members of population are systematically or more likely to selected in a sample than others, okay. Bias, you got it right. So, bias simple, you are just taking some bias from this kind of sampling. You are concentrating only the area. Suppose you are looking for the entire country project, but you are taking the sample only from Karnataka because you are very lazy to travel from other states and collect the data. You are concentrating only from the Karnataka, but the problem you are talking about the entire country. This is called some kind of a bias, right? You are excluding something which is not, it should include in your problem. This is response bias will be the non-response. Response will be when you ask questions, the method of observation to produce value that differ from the true value, because you are going to the field and they are collecting response from the farmers. It will be like the bias will be within the response, okay. Then the non-response will be based on the inclusion of sample that are not obtained from all the individuals selected for inclusion in the sample. It's not based on the response. Non-response is based on the sample you are preparing, but the response is based on the the information you are getting from the selected samples. Got it? So sampling error is also very important thing. Like sampling error is a type of error occurs due to the sample selected does not perfectly represent the population of interest. Like this is what we were talking, right? We are not representing the sample as exactly. While collecting the sample itself, you are making some mistakes. So that is called sampling error. Then non-sample error, an error occurs due to the source other than sampling while conducting survey activities known as it is not, non-sampling error is nothing related to while selecting the sample. The method you choose, the samples the conducts activities, it should be experimental, it should be observation, like what methodology you are further, that is the non-sampling error can happen. So the deviation between the mean and population, there will be a mean and population, like a sample will have some kind of a distribution, right? So that should be represented to the total population. If it is not matching, if there is a great variance, so that will be sampling error. So I think more into theory. Do I need to explain the same thing? Because it's very clear, like a sampling and non-sampling, it's related. I can spend a lot of time that, sorry. It's okay. Thank you. So I can spend time on the theory, but the thing is, I want to do some hands-on with the latex. So that for that need some time. If you have some doubt on this, I can spend, okay. So I'll just try to make it little bit fast this part, because sampling method we can consider as a two kinds, okay. Right now, till now we were talking about what is population, what is sampling, what are the different kinds of study can happen. Any kind of a research, how to make in the process, like design to process. You design it and you have to process it, right. For that you find out which sampling method you have to use. You can majorly categorize into two. Probability you heard, right? Probability and probability sampling method and non-probability sampling method. Simple random selection comes to probability. Stratified is also come to, I can share those slides, no need to write, just listen, okay. Then systematic way is also probability. Then stratified, I'll touch upon every sampling design one by one. And non-probability is known to, it depends upon researchers, like the researchers convenience we are doing it, okay. Then researchers will tell that this can be, these are the people can be taken for your sampling. Then snowball, I just call to reference, quota based, and this is a two types. Within the two types, there are all the greens are in the probability related, non-probability related. So with a simple example, probabilities. So here, see here, simple random sample. Suppose this is the entire population you want, okay, but you don't know which people you have to select. So you are randomly picking. You are not considering any kind of a bias. So here we can minimize the bias. Okay, selection of sample you can minimize by using simple. You are just not even looking for the details of the farmers. You are just giving some number to the farmers and randomly picking out of hundreds, maybe 100 is the total population. Suppose you want to do it for a 20 farmers, randomly selecting some farmers number and going just interviewing that farmer and collecting that data from that. Okay. So, that is called a simple random. Clear? Systematic in the sense, I will explain from one slide. I got a lot of theory part, but I can share the slides with you. Okay, fine. So, systematic means, suppose you have 100 farmers, you do not know which, like the same, the first one is random, you are selecting, right. Here you will mention that 10th farmer should be selected, some number k is equal to 10. That means, if you have 1 to 100 numbers with a farmer's number, every 10th farmer will be selected in a systematic way. Okay. Stratified, you have all the farmers, those who are with a crop, different kinds of crop 1, crop 2, crop 3, then you stratified into crop 1 farmers, crop 2 farmers, crop 3 and crop 4. Okay. Clear? You are stratifying it. You are just grouping it based on some criteria. Then from that, because the objective of your study is understanding the problem of entire farmers or all the types of farmers. So, you have to select the observations or select the samples from the every strata. Okay, clear? Stratified is clear. Then is another one is cluster. In some studies, if you are looking for the total population, you have to be clustered. Based on language, you can cluster. Here in Karnataka, a lot of migrations, right? Here Keralites are there, Tamil Nadu is there, Andhra is there. Every states they are coming to Bangalore. So, based on language or based on state, you can cluster them. Then not the language will be considered into one criteria, right. So, education we can take, education level. So, in every state maybe BTech level will be there, UG level will be there, and like a different education level. So, suppose this is the cluster from the UG level from all the states. Okay. So, here it will be the some other. So, they are clustering it based on some criteria. Then they can do analysis on all the cluster, all the members in the cluster, not looking for the entire populations. Got it? So, if you are looking for the UG level of this, then you do not need to work on all the populations here, all the citizens here. You can do with this cluster, then do the analysis on this cluster, then you can further, you can tell that this is the information for the entire Bangalore. Clear? Sampling, random sampling. Do I need to repeat the sampling? Random. Okay. If required, I can. See, in random sampling, we have one more method with replacement and without replacement. Here in with replacement, so the probability, right? It's the random sampling is something related to probability. So, here you just consider this box. Okay. So, the first ball we want to select. Then what is the probability of this? Out of 6, there is a chance of 1 by 6, right. So, the probability of the first red ball will be 1 by 6 and they are taking it for a sample. Okay. Then this is with the replacement. After they are interviewing it or after taking a data from them, then they are just with the replacement, they are keeping it back. The replacement is happening. Then again the probability of second ball is same, 1 by 6, because the total number is not changing. But the problem here, there is a chance of picking the same ball again. Okay. So, this is called a with replacement random sampling, and here it is without replacement. So, here this one is vacant. Once it is taken, they are not keeping it back. So, what is the probability of the second ball? It is a 1 by 5. So, this is called with replacement and without replacement. Stratified is also clear, right? So, this is the entire population. So, this is considering as a one kind of, okay. This is called a strata, and within the strata we are doing a random selection. Okay. Then the sample will be selected, the 4 samples will be selected from the each strata, okay. And this is called each individual subgroup is called a stratum. This is called a strata, and each one by one strata is called a stratum. Clear now? One example here is to estimate the average cost of malpractices insurance. So, they want to do for the entire doctors, okay. To remove some kind of a bias, they are stratifying into different classes. So, the first one is surgeons, only surgeon they are stratified it. The another one is family, like that 3 to 4 different kinds of doctor they are stratified. Then sample they are picking from the strata. Clear? So, clustering also we told. So, if they are considering entire population, they are making into some kind of a cluster, and they are analyzing in detail studies on a selected clusters, because every cluster will be included all the different kinds of samples within that. So, that can represent the entire population. Okay. So, here the example, define the population, that is your which area you are working on that, then cluster it based on some criteria. Then do not work on all the clusters, it will be costly, right? You have to go and do all the analysis for the entire data set. So, instead of that you are selecting some, you can see the red balls here, right, red circles here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, so out of 8, 4 are selected. So, there will not be any bias, 50% of student like the people they are considered. So, once that is done, then the collected data from the cluster, individual members. One more method with the clustering is that within that they are not considering all, then again they are doing a sampling within the cluster. Could see here no circle, be able to see. See, they are not, if suppose they got hundreds and hundreds clusters, if we are not able to do the analysis within specific time period and within within the fund, so you can do a further random sampling within the cluster. So, this is a integrated sampling approaches. Clear, right? Systematic, you know, so whenever systematic sample comes, you keep it in your mind, you have some number k, k is equal to some number, 20th student or 15th, some number you will be there. Okay. Then when you come to non-probability, these are the major non-probability sampling. The first one is convenience, consecutive, judgmental, quota and snowball. So, I will tell you one by one. Is from the name itself it is clear. Convenience. So, based on the time, okay, you are conveniently selecting some people or some samples, okay, that is called convenience. Then here what is the advantage by using convenience? That is what I was talking, right? When your college is in Karnataka, you are more convenient the students, you want to interview some college students, you are convenient to work on nearby colleges. So, you are easy to go there and you do not have any bias within the colleges, but you are more convenient to travel within this. Specifically in Bangalore, you want to do some college studies, we have a lot of colleges in overall like all over Bangalore cities, but you are not ready to come to the electronic city to interview. You are making convenient, like you are conveniently going to nearby colleges and collecting information, but you are telling that entire Bangalore colleges is having this problem, then their bias will come. There you talk about only the area you are talking, your data collected, which you can tell that this is related to Yelahanga side, this is happening. Okay. So, it is the major advantages by doing this kind of survey, you can easily collect data, because the researchers are convenient with the methodology. Okay. Then it is less expensive, that is more like low cost and inexpensive, easy to do research, because data collection is the biggest challenge in any kind of research. Once the data is done, you can do research as easy. Then available samples, you can readily available sample, you can collect it. You can give rules based on the work. Convenient. Then another one is consecutive, it is something related to convenient, but suppose you are going to the colleges and collecting data from the nearby, convenient, okay. So, that you are collecting, then still your informations are not clear, your data samples are it is not complete, then you will go with some other data sets. That is consecutively you collect the data. Maybe you are looking for one problem, then you will be working with a group of students working nearby colleges, you will be collecting it and doing analysis, but that is not sufficient to resolve your problem. Then you will consequently you are doing a data collection again, that is called a consecutive sampling. Okay. First sample will be the second sample will be the third sample, it is up to how you are working. Then judgmental sampling, judgmental, it's also it's a purposive or authoritative sampling. Researchers' knowledge and based on researchers' experience, they are judging it, who we should select for our study. Okay. Then consume minimum time, it's more to all the non-probability is more or less like we can advantages can be very similar, we can do it as early or directly approachable and real time results easy to conduct. Then quota sampling is based on some the sampling method, individuals are selected according to the specific kind of a qualities. Suppose in case of a you are looking for only agriculture students, that is the quality of the students, they know very well about that subject. So they are specifying that we do not want to look for all the colleges or all the students in the city, we want to look for the people they have a quality of a domain knowledge of agriculture. Okay. So that is one thing. That is the controlled sampling will be the uncontrolled will be. The control will be the sampling process, restriction, researchers, choice of sample, it is up to researchers. It see here it is all up to researcher side, it is all up to you, how you want to do your study. Uncontrolled is that does not impose any restriction on the researcher's choice sample, here researchers to sample members at, like in the case of like this is all up to you, which threshold you want to give, which quality you have to make for your data sample, clear? And divide the sample, there is some kind of a steps to follow any kind of sampling. Divide the sample in like the population into subgroups and give some weightage. Agriculture students will have 0.8, the other will have a 0.2. Like that we can divide your domain knowledge, or based on some quality you can give some weightage and give preferences based on that weightage, and select appropriate sample from the each domain. Then survey. Survey can be different, right? What are the different kinds of survey technology? Like one method is questionnaire survey. Heard about questionnaire survey, right? Who will be writing these questions? No, who will be? Researchers. Is that researchers can directly the questions? They have to contact experts in the domain, and which are the questions will be relevant to the problem, and then okay, questions researchers and expert can finalize it. Then once that is done, you cannot involve a lot of questions, because the farmers or the people who are responding, they won't respond properly, right? It's up to them how accurately they are, how truly they are giving the information. So that is also everything you should consider. Only the expert knowledge can make a well defined questions. Okay, that is a field, going there and collecting data. Second one, through telephone. Nowadays the market research, right? Everyone, customer services, and they are just calling, they are not individually visiting. So that is also easy way. Then they are mailing, they are giving some kind of a Google form, they give the satisfaction 5, 4. This is all survey. Okay. And here also quota sampling can work with the sampling. The customers who purchased 100 items in a month, okay, then they can give the form or a survey only those customers. That is also comes under a quota sampling. Advantages, saves time. See, the another one is snowball. This is what happening in all the major industries, okay, major industries. Suppose we know that this person know well known about one kind of a problem, okay, so then they can refer one. So he know who is working in that field, so he can refer one person, so that person can again refer something. So like that we are snowballing. So we are just taking one person's advice, and they will be giving those who are working in that domain. So this is how, see in the, because when I was working with IIIT, I had a experience with a questionnaire survey with the farmers, okay. So I'm not from Karnataka, I'm from Kerala. I don't know Kannada first and foremost, but the farmers are willing to be, they are very like lovely people, okay. They will share the whatever they know, but the language matters a lot here. So few other project assistants were there, they were from Karnataka and they were talking, but they were giving a lot of references, those who are working with a similar kind of crops nearby villages itself. They know the people, those who are, because they have some kind of a community. So we experienced this kind of a snowball within the agriculture sector. It's not only the industry, within this. So we got a lot of sample and with accurate information from one person, is a village head or something you can call, but they are giving a lot of information. It's called a snowballing. So linear will be one person can go to the another like that, 1 1 1. So the other one will be, they can give so many, but they can take only one. The references can be 10 15 farmers, they can give it, but we don't have capacity to collect all the 15 members. From there we are choosing 1 or 2. So that is called the snowball sampling with a discriminative and non-discriminative, okay. It's quick, cost effective sample. It's every sampling have their own advantages. This is a real time example, is happened in India survey and sampling methodology. So in after access is they have done ICT, information communication technology access used in Asia and global, but I have put only Indian study here. They have done for different countries, okay. This was the simple objective. Here it is a mobile phone, SIM card and desktop laptop ownership in the entire. Is it possible? They may become, we all have internet access, laptop, mobile, but they didn't come to us, right? But the representation is included as, see they are talking about the entire, but the sample is taken from these places, okay. 5069 households only, 5069 households individual were surveyed from the 250 wards. You know how the administrative boundaries are there, right, in India. Then there have a selected 19 states, then 108 districts. So this is the geographical information, and this is the green dots are representing from where they have collected the samples, okay. So this is the threshold they have given. They have interviewed from the age limit of 15 to 65. Those who are working, like those who have a mobile below the age of 15, they didn't consider for interview. This is up to you, which are the people you have to include in your study, okay. So after all, these kind of studies are giving this information, like some kind of a value, right. Before the wards and villages selected, first this is called, they are randomly selecting some so on what basis they selected this 108 districts? They have used random sampling technologies. Randomly they are selecting 108 randomly selecting 108 wards, no, how many districts here? 108 districts. And second, within the selected districts, sub-districts were randomly selected. They have used random sampling technologies, okay. Simple. Simple comparative experiment. So till now we were talking about observational study and experimental studies. In madam's case, you can look for a response variable, which variable will have a major response on your domain, and you can do some kind of experiments. In experimental survival, we have a single blind, single blind, double blind and triple blind. That means in a single blind, in single blind, only the participants are blind, because in case of a COVID also, right, COVID related problem, they are getting some kind of a medicine, okay. Some kind of a blind experiments already happened, okay. So that means they are not sure that for what exactly this will work, this vaccine in which in where it is going to work on. That is some kind of a blind experiment, single blind. One set of people will be blind. Okay. Another one is double blind. The participants or experimenters are blind. The company will be asking them to work on such problem. The researchers, those who are working, they don't know where they are going to use it. They are also blind. What is the problem and which domain? But the participants are also blind here. Clear? And here the triple blind problem is that not only from the participant and experimenters, but also from the research analyzing the data. They are also blind in such. So this is some kind of a different types of experimental study, but in in our case it's more into, because here what we did is kind of a single blind. We know that, we know that for what we are using, but the farmers are blind. They don't know for where this kind of information they are using it. Okay, simple example I use. So with that, I think 1 hour, this is what I planned. 1 hour is completely theory part. Then single, it's all clear, right? So this is the if you are a beginner in a survey methodology or a research or the first year, this is the best book. They will cover everything, all in all. Okay, they will talk about what is target population, simple methodologies, survey technologies, how the questionnaire survey should be, and real time experience with survey projects. Okay, what are the problem they have solved, what are the methodology they have used it with a table they have given. Little bit old, but it is very famous for survey methodology. Thank you so much.